My fiancé texted, I'm pregnant. Let's name the baby. After my ex, it's more meaningful. So I drove to his house to congratulate him. His wife answered the door. All right, Reddit, buckle up because this story is absolutely wild. 2 weeks before my wedding, my fiancé sent me a text that made my blood run cold. And what I discovered after that? Let's just say the trash took itself out in the most spectacular way possible. I'm a 32-year-old logistics coordinator for a mid-sized shipping company in Pennsylvania. Started there right out of college 10 years ago as a warehouse associate. Worked my way up through inventory management, then operations, and finally into coordination. Decent job pulling in $68,000 annually. Own my condo that I bought 5 years ago. Drive a paid-off 2016 Honda Accord with 89,000 miles that runs like a dream. Nothing fancy, but I'm comfortable and completely debt-free, except the mortgage. Been engaged to Claire for 8 months, together for 3 years total. Met her at my buddy Troy's 4th of July party back in 2020. She was friends with Troy's girlfriend. Showed up in jean shorts and a tank top. Had this laugh that made everyone turn and look. We hit it off immediately. Talked for 3 hours straight about everything from our favorite bands to our terrible high school experiences. The first year was great. She'd come over after work. We'd cook dinner together, watch movies, talk about our days. She seemed genuinely interested in my job. Asked questions about shipping logistics like she actually cared. Made me feel appreciated in a way my ex never did. That ex had constantly complained I was too boring and too focused on work. Claire was different, or so I thought. By year 2, we'd moved in together. Well, she moved into my condo. Made sense since I owned it and her lease was ending. She contributed $800 monthly toward utilities and groceries, which was fair since I covered the mortgage, HOA fees, and property taxes. We split everything else 60-40 since I made about $18,000 more than her annually. Claire works as a dental hygienist at a family practice downtown, makes around $50,000 with benefits. Decent gig, but she'd complain constantly about difficult patients, the dentist being demanding, having to work Saturdays twice a month. I'd listen, offer solutions, try to be supportive. Looking back, I wonder how much of that complaining was just noise to cover up other things. She drives a leased 2021 Mazda CX-5 that I co-signed for when her credit score came back at 620. The dealership wouldn't approve her a loan, so I put my name on it to help her out. Monthly payment of $380 that she handled herself, but my credit was on the line if she missed payments. Should have been a red flag right there. Financially linking myself to someone whose credit was questionable. Wedding was set for May 14th. We'd been planning for 6 months. Venue booked at this barn-style event space about 40 minutes outside the city. $4,500 deposit, non-refundable. Caterer locked in at $3,800 for 120 guests. Photographer costing $1,500. DJ at $800. Florist at $1,200. My suit rental was $300. Her dress was $2,200 that her parents paid for. Invitations, decorations, all the little stuff added another grand easily. Total budget was around $18,000, with her parents covering about $5,000 of it. I'd paid $14,800 out of my savings. Money I'd been setting aside for years. Money that was now looking like it might have been completely wasted. Our relationship seemed solid for the most part. We split bills fairly, rarely fought about money or chores, had the same taste in movies and food, enjoyed the same friend group. On paper, everything looked perfect. We were that couple people envied. Stable jobs, nice place, wedding coming up, talking about buying a house in a few years and maybe starting a family. But there were small things I'd brushed off over the past 6 months. Little red flags I'd ignored because I didn't want to be that paranoid boyfriend who questioned everything. The way she'd get defensive when I asked about her day. Why do you need to know every detail? She'd snap when I'd ask how work went. I'd back off, figure she was just stressed. How she'd angle her phone away from me when texting. We'd be sitting on the couch watching TV, and her phone would buzz. She'd immediately tilt it away, type quickly, then set it face down. When I asked who she was texting, it was always just Rachel or just someone from work. Never any details. The occasional girls' night that would stretch until 2 a.m. with vague explanations. She'd text around 8 p.m. saying she was grabbing dinner with coworkers, then wouldn't come home until past midnight. When I asked how dinner turned into 5 hours, she'd say they went to another bar afterward, or someone needed to vent about relationship problems, or traffic was terrible. Always an explanation. Always plausible enough that I didn't push. Her phone habits changed too. Started keeping it with her constantly. Used to leave it charging on the counter when she showered. Now it went into the bathroom with her. Used to scroll social media on the couch next to me. Now she'd take it into the bedroom or the bathroom for privacy. I'm not the jealous type, so I gave her space and trusted her. Figured everyone needs privacy. Figured I was just being paranoid because my ex had cheated and I was projecting old trauma onto a new relationship. Big mistake. My buddy Troy had warned me around Christmas. We were at his place watching football, and he asked how wedding planning was going. Good, man. Expensive, but good. Claire still acting weird with her phone? I looked at him. What do you mean? Dude, at the Halloween party, she was texting someone and literally hid her screen when I walked by to grab another drink. Like fully turned away from me. That's sketchy behavior. She's probably just texting about wedding stuff. Wants to surprise me. Troy gave me this look. Whatever you say, man. Just keep your eyes open. I should have listened to him. Should have trusted that gut feeling that something was off. But I was too invested. Too close to the wedding. Too committed to believing everything was fine. 3 weeks before the wedding, mid-April, she started acting noticeably different, more distant, distracted during conversations, barely interested in wedding planning. We'd be sitting at dinner and I'd ask about finalizing the seating chart, and she'd just shrug and say, whatever you think is best. This from the woman who'd spent 2 hours debating whether her cousin should sit at table 4 or table 7. She stopped initiating affection. Used to kiss me goodbye every morning before work. That stopped. Used to text me during her lunch break. That stopped too. When I asked if something was wrong, she'd get irritated. I'm fine. Why are you always asking if something's wrong? Can't I just have a bad day without you interrogating me? When I asked if she was getting cold feet about the wedding, she laughed it off and blamed work stress. The dental office was understaffed, she said. 2 hygienists had quit within a month. She was covering extra shifts. Patients were demanding. Her boss, Dr. Palmer, was writing her about scheduling efficiency and patient satisfaction scores. All reasonable explanations that I accepted without question, because I wanted to believe her. I'm just exhausted, she'd say, curling up on the opposite end of the couch from me. Wedding planning is overwhelming. Work is terrible. I just need space to decompress. So I gave her space. Stopped asking questions. Stopped pushing for affection. Figured once the wedding was over and she could relax, things would go back to normal. Looking back, that was probably when it was happening, when she was with him. While I was giving her space to decompress, she was probably decompressing with her ex. The betrayal of it burns even now. Tuesday afternoon, April 30th, I'm at my desk reviewing shipment manifests for a major client delivery. 3 containers coming in from overseas, coordinating with trucking companies to get everything distributed to 5 different warehouses. Complex logistics that required my full attention. My phone buzzes around 2:15 p.m. Text from Claire. I'm expecting something routine, maybe asking what I want for dinner, or confirming she's stopping by the store, or reminding me about some wedding task. I glance at my screen and my entire world stops. Honey, I'm pregnant. My heart literally stopped for a second. Then, it started racing like I'd just sprinted up 10 flights of stairs while carrying 100 pounds. Pregnant. We were having a baby. Holy crap. I was going to be a father. The smile hit my face before my brain even fully processed the information. My coworker at the next desk looked over. You good, man? You look like you just won the lottery. Claire's pregnant, I said, still staring at my phone. Dude, congratulations. That's awesome. It was awesome. This was massive. This changed everything. This made our upcoming wedding even more perfect. Starting our family right away, building our life together with a kid on the way, becoming parents together. Everything was falling into place exactly how it was supposed to. My mind was already racing ahead. We'd need to look at houses with more space. My condo was only 2 bedrooms. We could convert the office into a nursery, but eventually we'd need more room. Maybe start looking in the suburbs where schools were better. I'd need to increase my life insurance. Start a college fund immediately. Calculate our budget with daycare costs. I kept reading, expecting details. How far along was she? When did she find out? Had she taken a test or been to the doctor? I'm thinking of putting my ex's name on the birth certificate. It's more meaningful. The smile died instantly. The excitement vanished like someone had dumped ice water over my head. I read it again, then again. My brain absolutely refused to accept what I was seeing. She wants to name our baby after her ex-boyfriend. More meaningful. Those were her exact words. More meaningful than what? Than me? The actual father? She wants to name our baby after her ex-boyfriend. More meaningful. Those were her exact words. More meaningful than what? Than me? The actual father? The excitement that had flooded through me 30 seconds earlier turned into something cold and sharp in my chest. A physical pain, like someone had reached in and squeezed my heart with an icy fist. Why would she even say that? Why would naming our child after another man cross her mind unless there was a reason? A genuine, horrible reason. My coworker was still talking. So when's the baby due? You guys must be excited. Excuse me, I interrupted, standing up so fast my chair rolled back and hit the wall. I walked to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and sat there staring at that message until my screen went dark. Turned it back on. Read it again. The words hadn't changed. My hands started shaking. Not from anger yet. That would come later. This was something worse. Doubt. Fear. Uncertainty about everything I thought I knew about my life, my relationship, my future. What if this baby wasn't mine? The thought hit me like a freight train demolishing a car stuck on the tracks. She didn't confess to anything directly. She didn't say, I cheated, or the baby's not yours. But why else would she mention her ex's name in the same breath as announcing a pregnancy? People don't think like that unless there's a connection, unless there's guilt trying to surface, unless they're trying to prepare you for information they're afraid to tell you directly. I tried to think back to when we last had sex. 2 weeks ago? 3? It had been a while because she kept saying she was too tired, too stressed, not in the mood. We used to have a healthy, intimate life, 2 or 3 times a week. Over the past month, it had dropped to maybe once, and the last time had been. Different, she'd seemed distracted, distant, like she was going through the motions but mentally somewhere else. If she was pregnant, how far along was she? When did she find out? Why didn't she tell me in person? Why send this massive, life-changing news via text during the middle of my workday? And that comment, that insane, stupid, revealing comment about her ex's name being more meaningful. Zachary, her ex-boyfriend from before we met. She'd mentioned him exactly 3 times in 3 years. Once when showing me photos from her college graduation, he was in the background of a group shot. Once when we drove through his neighborhood and she pointed it out casually, mentioned he'd gotten married and bought a house. And once when we ran into mutual friends who asked about him, and she said they hadn't talked in years. Why would his name be meaningful for our baby? Unless it wasn't our baby. Unless it was his baby. I typed back with fingers that didn't feel like my own. What? Great news. Congratulations. Sarcasm felt safer than confrontation right then. Safer than typing what I actually wanted to say, which was, are you out of your mind? I needed information before making accusations. Needed to see her reactions, gauge her responses, figure out what was actually happening. Because right then, all I had was a horrible gut feeling and one incredibly suspicious text message. But that gut feeling was screaming at me like a fire alarm at 3 in the morning. I sat there for maybe 10 more minutes, running through scenarios in my head. Best case, she made some incredibly poor joke that wasn't funny. She'd clarify, we'd laugh about the misunderstanding, everything would be fine. Worst case, she cheated, got pregnant, and was trying to prepare me for the truth by floating her ex's name to see how I'd react. Most likely case. Worst case was the actual case. I grabbed my jacket from my desk and walked straight out of the office. Didn't tell anyone where I was going. Didn't clock out properly. Didn't care. My supervisor Gary called after me from his office. Hey, where are you headed? We've got the client call at 3. I didn't answer. Just kept walking through the warehouse floor, past the loading docks, out to the parking lot. Got in my car and just sat there gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. My phone buzzed. Claire again. I'm so happy you're excited. We should celebrate tonight. Maybe that steakhouse you love? Excited? Sure. That's exactly what I was feeling. Not sick to my stomach. Not betrayed before I even knew for certain there was a betrayal. Not filled with rage and confusion and this awful certainty that my entire life was built on lies. Totally excited. She wanted to celebrate. Wanted to take me to dinner and pretend everything was fine. Wanted to sit across from me at a steakhouse and talk about baby names while lying about who the father actually was. The nerve of it was breathtaking. I needed to talk to someone who might give me answers before confronting her directly. Someone whose reaction would tell me everything I needed to know. Someone who would panic if there was something to panic about. I pulled up my Maps app. Knew exactly where Zachary lived. Claire had pointed out his neighborhood once during a drive maybe 6 or 7 months back. We'd been on our way to visit her parents, took a detour to avoid construction, and ended up driving through this newer development with nice 2-story houses. Oh, that's where Zachary lives, she'd said casually, gesturing vaguely at the street. He bought a house here with his wife. Settled down, you know. Funny how life works out. At the time, it seemed like innocent small talk. People mention their exes sometimes. No big deal. She wasn't pining after him, or comparing me to him, or suggesting we should buy a house in the same neighborhood. Just a casual observation that her ex had moved on and was doing well. Now it felt different. Now it felt like reconnaissance. Like she'd wanted me to know where he lived for some reason. Like maybe she'd been thinking about him more than she let on. The drive took 40 minutes through afternoon traffic. 40 minutes of my brain cycling through every possible explanation, trying to find one that didn't end with my world falling apart. Maybe she was joking. Terrible joke, but possible. Maybe she had some weird sentimental connection to the name that she'd explain later. Maybe I was overreacting and about to make a complete fool of myself by showing up at a stranger's house making wild accusations. But that phrase kept playing on repeat in my head, like a song I couldn't shake. More meaningful. More meaningful than the actual father's name. How does that make sense unless the actual father is someone else? How does that make any logical sense at all? Unless she's trying to tell me something she's afraid to say directly. Unless this is her guilt surfacing in the worst possible way. Unless she's testing me to see if I'll figure it out on my own so she doesn't have to confess. I pulled up to a 2-story house with beige siding, dark shutters, and a neat front lawn that looked professionally maintained. A blue Honda Civic sat in the driveway next to a silver Toyota RAV4. Married couple cars, 2-car garage, 2-car driveway, 2-person life. I parked across the street and stared at the house for a solid minute. What was I doing? Was I about to accuse a man I'd never met of sleeping with my fiancée based on one weird text? Yes, because that text was too specific to be random, too strange to be innocent. And if I was wrong, I'd apologize and leave. But if I was right, I needed to see his face when I brought it up. Needed to watch him squirm. Maybe he'd confess. Maybe he'd panic. Either way, I'd know more than I did sitting in my car spiraling. I walked up to the front door and knocked. 3 solid knocks. My heart was pounding, but my face was calm. A woman opened the door. Blonde, athletic build, mid-30s. Zachary's wife, probably. "Can I help you?" she asked, looking confused at the stranger on her porch. "Hi, sorry to bother you. Is Zachary home? He's at work. Can I ask who you are?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the text from Claire. Watched her eyes scan the words. Watched her face change from confused to shocked, to something I couldn't quite identify. "I'm Claire's fiancé," I said quietly. "She just sent me this. I don't know what it means, but I'm hoping your husband might have some insight." Her hand went to her mouth. "What? Why would she say that?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out." She stepped back from the door, pulling her phone from her pocket. "I need to call him. This is insane." "I agree. Mind if I wait?" She nodded, distracted, already dialing. I could hear her voice shaking as she told Zachary to come home immediately. She didn't explain why, just kept saying it was urgent. She hung up and looked at me like I was a bomb about to explode on her front porch. "He'll be here in 20 minutes. He works nearby. Thank you." We stood there in the most awkward silence I've ever experienced. She kept glancing at my phone screen like she needed to read that message again to confirm it was real. I kept my face neutral while my mind screamed. A truck drove by slowly, the driver obviously curious about the stranger on his neighbor's porch. I ignored him. My phone buzzed. Claire calling? I declined it. She could wait. I needed this conversation first. 18 minutes later, the silver SUV came speeding down the street and jerked into the driveway. Zachary jumped out. Tall, fit, wearing business casual clothes. He saw me standing there with his wife, and his face went pale. "What's going on?" he demanded, looking between us. I held up my phone. "Claire sent me this today. Thought you might want to see it." He took the phone, read the message, and his expression went from confused to horrified in seconds. "What the hell? I haven't talked to Claire in years." "Then why would she mention your name?" his wife asked, voice sharp. "I don't know." He looked genuinely panicked now, which was interesting. Innocent people get confused. Guilty people panic. This doesn't make any sense. I took my phone back. "She's pregnant. Says she wants to put your name on the birth certificate because it's more meaningful. You're telling me that means nothing to you?" "Absolutely nothing." His voice went up an octave. "I'm married. I haven't been anywhere near..." His wife's eyes were filling with tears. "Then why would she say this?" "I don't know. Maybe she's lying. Maybe she's trying to start something between us. I don't know." I watched him carefully. He was defensive, sure. But was it genuine defensiveness or covering guilt? "When's the last time you saw Claire?" I asked. He looked at his wife, then back at me. "I don't know. Maybe a year ago? At the grocery store. We said hi, caught up for like 2 minutes. That was it." "You're lying," his wife said suddenly. "You saw her 3 weeks ago." The silence that followed was deafening. "What?" Zachary's face drained of color. I saw a text on your phone from someone named C saying thanks for last night. You said it was your coworker Chris. But it wasn't, was it? He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. I felt my stomach drop. There it was, the confirmation I'd been dreading. Oh my God, his wife whispered. You slept with her? Natalie, I can explain. Did you sleep with my fiancée? I interrupted, voice cold. He looked at me, then at his wife, then at the ground. It was one time, one stupid mistake. She called me out of nowhere, said she needed to talk. We met for coffee and what? Natalie was crying now. You just decided to destroy our marriage? I didn't mean for it to happen. You never do, I said flatly. But it happened. And now she's pregnant. With your baby. The way his face went completely white told me everything. He knew. He'd known this whole time and was hoping to keep it buried. You need to take a paternity test, Natalie said, voice shaking. Right now. Today. I don't think... Zachary started. I don't care what you think, she cut him off. You're taking a paternity test. And if that baby is yours, I want a divorce. I pulled up a lab on my phone. There's a clinic 15 minutes from here. They do same-day prenatal paternity testing. Let's go. Zachary looked like he wanted to disappear into the ground. I can't just leave work. You're going, Natalie said. Now. The three of us drove to the clinic in the most uncomfortable convoy I've ever been part of. Me in my Honda, them in their SUV, probably having the worst fight of their marriage. I called Claire on the way. Hey, are you ready to celebrate? She answered, all fake cheerfulness. I'm at a paternity clinic with Zachary. We need you here immediately. Dead silence on the line. What are you talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Get here now or I'm making decisions without you. I hung up before she could respond. At the clinic, the process was surprisingly fast. They just needed a cheek swab from Zachary and me. Plus, they'd need blood from Claire when she arrived for the prenatal portion. Results in 3 to 5 business days, but they offered expedited results for an extra $400. I paid it. Zachary didn't even offer. Claire showed up 20 minutes later, looking terrified. She tried to hug me. I stepped back. Just do the test. Can we talk first? No. She looked at Zachary. He wouldn't meet her eyes. Natalie was standing in the corner, arms crossed, looking like she wanted to set the entire building on fire. They took Claire back for the blood draw. When she came out, she tried again. This is all a misunderstanding. Save it, I said. We'll know the truth in 3 days. I walked out and drove home. Went straight to my spare room where we'd been storing wedding stuff. Started making calls. First call, the venue. I need to cancel the wedding. Sir, with only 2 weeks' notice, we can't refund the deposit. I understand. Just cancel it. $3,500 gone. Whatever. Second call. The caterer. Same story. $2,800 deposit lost. Third call. The DJ. At least he was sympathetic. Refunded half, $400 back out of $800. Fourth call. The photographer. She actually felt bad and refunded everything. $1,500 back. Small miracle. I made a spreadsheet. Total wedding costs paid, $14,800. Potential recovery, $1,900. Net loss, $12,900. Claire was going to pay back every single penny. My phone buzzed constantly. Claire calling, texting, begging to talk. I ignored all of it. My buddy Troy called around 8 p.m. Bro, Claire just posted on Facebook asking people to pray for her during this difficult time. What's going on? Troy works in construction, has been my friend since high school, and has zero filter when it comes to relationship drama. She cheated on me with her ex, might be pregnant with his baby. We're waiting on paternity results. Holy crap! 2 weeks before the wedding? Yep, that's cold. What are you gonna do? Already canceled everything. If the baby's his, she's paying me back for the whole wedding. Troy let out a low whistle. Savage, need me to come over? Nah, I'm good. Just documenting everything for when she tries to spin this. Smart. Let me know if you need anything. And hey, at least you found out before the wedding, right? He had a point. Small blessings. Friday morning, 3 days later, I got the email. Opened it with hands that were surprisingly steady. Alleged father 1. Me. 0% probability of paternity. Alleged father 2. Zachary. 99.99% probability of paternity. There it was. In black and white. Scientific proof that my fiancée had cheated on me, gotten pregnant by her ex, and tried to pass it off as mine. I forwarded the results to Claire, Zachary, and Natalie. No message, just the attachment. Then I sat back and waited for the fallout. Claire called immediately, sobbing. Please, we need to talk. It was a mistake. I love you. We can work through this. No. Please. I'll do anything. It was one stupid night. You're right. It was stupid. And now you're dealing with the consequences. I want every dollar I spent on this wedding. $12,900. You have 30 days. I don't have that kind of money. Figure it out. Sell something. Borrow from your parents. I don't care. You're paying me back every single dollar. That's not fair. I almost laughed. Fair? You cheated on me, got pregnant by your ex, tried to trick me into raising his baby, and you want to talk about fair? She had no response to that. Goodbye, Claire. I hung up and blocked her number. Then I called my parents. The wedding's off. Claire cheated. The baby isn't mine. I'll explain everything later. My mom gasped. My dad just said, You need anything, son? No, I'm good. 3 hours later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Is this Claire's fiancé? A woman's voice, unfamiliar. Ex-fiancé. Who's this? I'm Zachary's mother. I just found out about this whole mess. I want you to know that my son made a terrible mistake, but he's taking responsibility. He'll pay child support and be involved in the baby's life. Good for him. What does that have to do with me? Well, I was hoping we could all sit down and discuss how to handle this moving forward. For the baby's sake, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Ma'am, with all due respect, that baby has nothing to do with me. Your son and my ex-fiancé created this situation. They can handle it together. I want nothing to do with any of it. But surely you still care about Claire. I don't. Not anymore. She made her choice. Now she gets to live with it. I hung up, blocked that number too. Saturday morning, I sent a group text to both families. Everyone who'd been involved in wedding planning. Family meeting at my parents' house today at 2 p.m. Everyone needs to be there. Claire's mom called immediately. What's this about? You'll find out at 2. I showed up early, set up my laptop on the dining room table, printed copies of the paternity test results. When people started arriving, the confusion was obvious. My parents knew what was coming. Claire's family had no idea. Claire showed up last, flanked by her parents. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her mom, Rachel, immediately went on the offensive. What's this about? Claire's been devastated all week and you won't even talk to her. I handed everyone a printed copy of the paternity test. Watched their faces as they read it. 0% probability of paternity, I said clearly. The baby isn't mine. Want to know whose it is? Claire's mom went pale. Her dad, Michael, looked like he'd been punched in the stomach. It's right here. 99.99% match with her ex-boyfriend Zachary. Claire cheated on me about a month ago, got pregnant, and tried to hide it. That text about naming the baby after him? That was her guilt talking. Michael turned to his daughter. Is this true? Claire nodded, tears streaming down her face. You cheated? Rachel's voice broke. While planning your wedding? It was a mistake. One night. I didn't mean... A mistake that cost me $12,900 in non-refundable wedding expenses, I interrupted, which she's going to pay back. Every penny. We don't have that kind of money, Michael protested. Then she'll figure it out. Sell her car, take out a loan, get a second job. I don't care how she does it, but I'm getting my money back. My mom touched my arm. Honey, maybe we should... No, I said firmly. She made her choice. She deals with the consequences. Claire's younger sister Amanda spoke up. You're being cruel. She made a mistake. People make mistakes. Some mistakes have consequences. This is what consequences look like. And honestly, cruel would be pressing charges for fraud, which I could do. Paternity fraud is illegal in this state. That shut everyone up. Does Zachary know? Michael asked quietly. He does. I forwarded him the results this morning. His wife filed for divorce yesterday. Claire sobbed louder. Rachel hugged her, but even she looked disgusted with her daughter. I think we should go, Michael said stiffly. This is humiliating enough. Good, I replied. You should feel humiliated. Your daughter destroyed 2 relationships and created a child that neither parent wanted because she couldn't keep her commitment. That's on her, not me. They left quickly. My family stayed behind. You okay? My dad asked. Better than okay. I dodged a bullet the size of Texas. My brother patted my shoulder. Want to grab dinner later? Get your mind off this? Yeah, that'd be good. Within hours, word spread through our entire social circle like wildfire through dry grass. Friends started taking sides immediately. Most sided with me once they heard the facts. The text message, the paternity test, the whole sordid timeline. A few of Claire's friends tried defending her at first, calling me cruel and heartless for abandoning her in her time of need. Troy sent me screenshots of the Facebook arguments happening in mutual friend groups. Claire's friend Jessica posted some nonsense about everyone makes mistakes and true love means forgiveness. Someone replied with, "True love doesn't involve getting pregnant by your ex 2 weeks before your wedding." That shut her up pretty quick. Another friend, someone I barely knew from Claire's dental office, posted a long rant about how I was punishing an innocent baby by refusing to be involved. Troy responded before I could. The innocent baby has a biological father who can step up. Why should this guy raise another man's kid because the mother is a cheater? That post got 47 likes. The social media war was exhausting to watch. People I hadn't talked to in years were suddenly messaging me asking for my side of the story. I sent the same response to everyone, a screenshot of the text message, and a simple statement that the paternity test proved the baby wasn't mine. Most people stopped asking questions after that. By Monday, Claire had deactivated all her social media accounts. Facebook, Instagram, even her LinkedIn disappeared. Couldn't handle the backlash, apparently. The court of public opinion had ruled, and she'd been found guilty. Tuesday morning, I received a check in the mail from her parents for $5,000. A handwritten note was attached. "It's all we can manage right now. The rest will come in monthly payments. We're deeply sorry for our daughter's behavior. You didn't deserve this." I appreciated the gesture. Michael and Rachel had always been decent to me. They'd welcomed me into their family, included me in holidays, treated me like a future son-in-law. This couldn't be easy for them, finding out their daughter was capable of this level of betrayal. I deposited the check immediately and drafted a formal payment plan agreement. $400 monthly for 20 payments to cover the remaining $7,900. Included late fee provisions, interest calculations, everything legally binding. Sent it certified mail requiring signature confirmation. They signed and returned it within 2 days. At least they understood accountability, even if their daughter didn't. Wednesday, I got a text from an unknown number. "This is Natalie, Zachary's wife, ex-wife now. Thank you for exposing the truth. I filed for divorce yesterday morning, taking him for everything. House, retirement accounts, his car. He destroyed our 5-year marriage for one night with his ex. You saved me from wasting more years with a cheater. I hope you're doing okay." I replied, "We both deserved better than what they gave us. Good luck with everything." She responded with a thumbs up emoji and "same to you." It was strange having this connection with someone I'd only met once, under the worst possible circumstances. But we were bonded now by shared betrayal. Two people whose lives had been imploded by the same selfish decision. Thursday, I took the afternoon off work and went to a clinic for full STD testing. It was humiliating sitting in that waiting room, explaining to the nurse why I needed comprehensive testing after being in what I thought was a monogamous relationship. "How many partners have you had in the past year?" she asked, not looking up from her clipboard. I thought just one. Turns out it was at least 2. She looked up then, sympathy in her eyes. "I'm sorry. We see this a lot, unfortunately." The test came back clean 3 days later. 3. Small mercy in this whole disaster. At least Claire hadn't given me any permanent parting gifts beyond emotional trauma. The following weeks were a blur of administrative tasks. Finalizing vendor cancellations. Returning wedding gifts that had arrived early. That was particularly depressing, having to explain to my aunt why I was returning the expensive knife set she'd bought us. Updating my emergency contact information at work, since Claire was no longer my fiancée. Changing beneficiaries on my life insurance policy. Taking her name off my utility accounts. All the practical tasks of untangling a shared life. I boxed up everything she'd left at my condo. Clothes, toiletries, that expensive hairstyling tool she'd insisted she needed, the pile of romance novels on her nightstand, even the half-empty bottle of her perfume that was making my bathroom smell like betrayal. Took it all to her parents' house one Saturday when I knew she'd be at work. Michael answered the door, looking older than I remembered. "I'll make sure she gets these," he said quietly. "And I want you to know, Rachel and I raised her better than this. I don't know what happened, what she was thinking, but this isn't who we thought she was. I appreciate that. I know this isn't easy for you guys either. She's our daughter, and we love her. But what she did to you, to both of you, was wrong. Unforgivable, really." He shook his head. "The worst part is watching her refuse to take responsibility. She keeps acting like she's the victim in all this, like you're punishing her unfairly. Consequences aren't punishment. They're just reality." "Exactly. He helped me carry the boxes inside. You're a good man. You'll land on your feet." Claire, on the other hand, he trailed off, but I understood. She'd made her bed. Now she had to lie in it. Alone. Pregnant. With a cheater who wanted nothing to do with her. A month later, I heard through mutual friends that Claire and Zachary were trying to figure out custody arrangements. Neither wanted a relationship with the other, but both were stuck with an 18-year connection. His divorce cost him the house, half his retirement savings, and apparently his dignity. Claire's family wasn't speaking to her much, too embarrassed by the whole situation. She'd burned too many bridges. Meanwhile, I started rebuilding, went to the gym more, reconnected with old friends, focused on work, got a raise after landing a major client account, slowly put the pieces of my life back together. Troy came over one Saturday with takeout. "So, how you feeling?" Like, really? Honestly, relieved. Can you imagine if I'd married her? If I'd found out later, maybe after the baby was born, that it wasn't mine? That would have been nuclear. At least you found out early. That text message saved my life. As stupid as it was for her to send it, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because now I'm free, and she's stuck living with the consequences. Amen to that. You're gonna meet someone way better. Someone who actually deserves you. Maybe, but I'm in no rush. Gonna take my time, learn from this, make sure I don't ignore red flags again. 6 months later, I got the final payment from Claire's parents. $12,900 total, fully reimbursed. I deposited the check and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, just closure. My life had completely changed. New apartment downtown with a better view. Started dating again, casually, no pressure. I'd learned my lesson about rushing into things. I ran into Claire once at a Target. She was visibly pregnant, looking exhausted. We made eye contact across the aisle. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something. I kept walking. Nothing left to say. Heard through the grapevine that Zachary was paying child support, but refused to be involved beyond the minimum legal requirement. His ex-wife remarried someone better. Claire was living with her parents, working part-time because her pregnancy made full days difficult. She'd burned every bridge, made every wrong choice, and was now facing a lifetime of consequences. My family never mentioned her name anymore. That chapter was closed, locked, and buried. Troy asked me one night over pizza if I regretted how I handled everything. "Not for a second," I said. That text message was the universe warning me. I could have ignored it, married her, and spent years raising another man's kid before finding out the truth. Instead, I listened to my gut and walked away. Think you'll ever trust someone again? Yeah, but I'll be smarter about it. Trust and verification aren't opposites. They're partners. 3 weeks ago, Claire texted from a new number. "I'm sorry for everything. I hope you're doing well." I blocked it without responding. Some apologies come too late to matter. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.